All right, we're nearing 1 year since many of the pandemic restrictions went into place. But a study from the CDC says men are less likely to take coronavirus seriously and therefore less likely to follow safety measures. And the added stress of it all is putting pressure on marriages in an unprecedented way. USA Today sums it up this way: I have cried, I have begged, I have yelled. Couples clash over COVID. For more on all this, I want to bring in psychotherapist Robbie Ludwig. She's also the author of the book, Till Death Do Us Part, Love, Marriage, and the Mind of the Killer Spouse. But we're not making a correlation between that and COVID, thankfully. Robbie, good to see you. So let's talk about this whole dynamic. I mean, families as a whole are spending a lot more time together these past few months in ways that can stress out people and couples especially. So what are your suggestions on how people need to keep it together?
There used to be this saying, you should never spend breakfast, lunch, and dinner with your partner. And yet we find ourselves in a situation where we need to be around each other for long periods of time. And what we do know about couples is we tend to be our worst self with our partner, because that's the safest place where we can release our anxiety and our tension. And this is a good time to take a step back and try to be patient and kind and ask for what you need. What's happening is all of our frustrations and different values and coping mechanisms are we're seeing our differences instead of our similarities. So look for the similarities, and what you both want to achieve during this time can be tremendously helpful.
So USA Today reports that a Tennessee couple in their 60s and 70s are actually thinking about getting divorced because they are fighting so much over the pandemic. I mean, how do you prevent these kinds of arguments, from just blossoming and getting just too big, too out of control?
Well, each couple needs to feel safe health-wise. So even if two couples disagree, sometimes you have to say we need to disagree or agree to disagree, but let's put a plan in place that we can both follow, that we both feel safe about. What you want to do is try not to make your partner wrong, even if you completely disagree with them, and try to find what you can agree upon. So certain safety measures, right? If one person's not wearing a mask, then how do you deal with that in the house? Do you have separate rooms? Do you agree to follow certain rules because it makes your partner feel comfortable? This all needs to be figured out in order to live in the same house.
And that's a big one.
And in some cases,
yeah, that's a big one, because if you've got one of the partners who's going out with a mask and the other one is not, and then you've got to, cohabitate. I mean, obviously the concern is exposure overall. So where in the world, because that's the case in that, between that couple. So where do you reconcile?
It might be that the plan is, listen, if you refuse to wear a mask, I'm going to have to live in a different part of the house or live with a friend where the rules are more in sync with my comfort levels. Again, that's where the plan comes in place, because if you can't get your partner, or you ask your partner to be living in a separate space where they can do what they want, but it doesn't affect your health. But these difficult decisions have to be made and agreed upon, because we don't want to cause somebody physical harm. And we need to respect people have different comfort levels. That's just the way it is.
So is this really the ultimate test for a lot of families and couples in particular? I mean, people used to say it's a road trip. That was the ultimate test. How could you drive cross country, with that person and still love each other in the end? In this case, it's this pandemic, being under the same rooftop, confined conditions.
Yes, I mean, it's exposing our different values. It's exposing our different health concerns. And I came across this quote: instead of getting furious, get curious. Try to understand your partner's why. Why are they behaving the way they are? Instead of making them wrong, try to state your feelings about what you need from your husband or wife, and see if you can incorporate that into the relationship. Acknowledge the stress, and also self-care can be huge. It's really important to know you can't get all of your needs met by your partner. Maybe you need to exercise, eat right, sleep right, so you're more emotionally resilient. Ask yourself what you need and how you can make that happen for yourself under these unusual circumstances. And talk to family and friends who really love you where you can feel supported.
Dr. Robbie Ludwig, always good to see you. Always great to hear your advice. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Frederica Whitfield. CNN Newsroom with Ana Cabrera starts right after this.